It is the 6th of October, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
So I'm looking forward to a good Zman. We have to work hard. We got a long haul now, right? We go until Pesach.
Yeah, we have an extra month also. We have 2 others this year.
Ah.
So we got an extra month's time before Pesach.
Oh, so now then we don't have any excuses for not knowing not knowing what we're supposed to know.
Yeah, we have plenty of time to prepare for Purim and for Pesach. That's the thing. Very good. Okay, so here we are in the toward the beginning of the 6th volume of the Mishnah Berura. In Tov Kuf Lamed Aleph, which is dealing with the laws relevant to taking haircuts and shaving on Chol Hamoed. So the first sip that we have done.
What is it? Tov Kuf Lamed
Aleph. Tov Kuf Lamed Aleph, right?
I'm sorry. Almost near the beginning. Tov Kuf Lamed Aleph, the Lachos, Chol Hamoed, Siman. Okay.
Right. So we're actually in Dalet over here.
In Dalet. Okay. Ve'elu Megalchin.
Yes. Would you like to read, Barry?
Okay.
Sure.
Ve'elu Megalchin b'moed. And this is the way you get a haircut on Moed, or the laws.
Well, actually, these are the people. He was referring to specific people, specific instances. Meaning, in general, it's forbidden to take a haircut on Chol Hamoed, right? But there are several exceptions. There'll be basically, if I'm not mistaken, 4 basic exceptions to the rule, and as we'll see, then so these are the exceptions.
Okay. Mi sheyotze mebeis hashivya, one who goes out from the house of Shivya.
That's actually captivity. He was held in captivity.
Okay. All right. Velo hoya lo penei legaleach koidim hamoed.
And while he was in captivity, did not allow him to take any haircuts.
Ah, that was like Yosef Atzadik when they took him out to go to Paro.
Right. Very good.
He was so he was all long hair, beards, and everything. So so as Rashi says that something about he refused to go. He says, first I got to get cleaned up. I'm going before Paro. I don't want to look like a schlepper.
No, that's right. Can't go to the king like that.
Right. Umi sheyotza mi beis ha'usurim, and then one who gets out of prison. I guess that's Yosef Atzadik's situation.
Right. What the difference is between being held in captivity and being in jail, I'm not really sure. One I guess is legally, one is held in captivity illegally.
Right. Right. Ve'elu haya chashuv biyad Yisrael shahaya magichin lo legaleach. V'chein hamenuda.
Right. The menuda. I mean, that's a person who can neder to the vow and oath not to take haircut.
Oh, like the Nazir.
Right.
Shehitiru lo the regel V'chein mi shenoder shelo legaleach. Okay. V'nishal al bid al nidra beregel. V'chein haba mimedinas hayom.
Hayam, Medina Hayam.
What is that referring to when he's going?
He came to Eretz Israel. Well, not necessarily. He came from across the seas, literally across the seas.
So when he arrives, he's permitted to get cleaned up.
I'm sorry,
Right.
I'm lost. Can we translate?
We had Medina Hayam. That's from Medina Hayam is from overseas.
But going
Right.
back, we haven't translated for like 3 sentences now.
Mishiotzi, we had Mishiotzi Mebesis to him. The person came from jail.
Right.
Even if he was held by his Jewish authorities.
Kavush is held.
He was held by Jewish authorities. And they would not permit him to take haircuts. And also a person was in a situation of excommunication, or he'd taken a vow. Misha Noider, a person took a neder, a vow, Shalom Legolayach. He would not take haircuts. He took a vow, an oath, like a nazir, not to take haircuts. And Nisha, and he had a dispensation awarded to him that he didn't have to keep his vow anymore.
Nishal is a dispensation.
Yeah, he got like a pardon. He got a pardon on his vow.
Is that Vinishal? Is that related to question?
Right. That's what happens if a person takes a vow. So one of the ways that a person can absolve himself of the vow is if he'll go before a Jew, a beis din, and it's actually, to tell you the truth, it's really not a beis din, but it's a gathering of three, and he'll ask for a obsolation and nullification of his vow. That's what we do on Erev Rosh Hashanah. We ask for the nullification of the vows. That's exactly what he's doing.
So he's asking to get off the hook.
Right.
So he basically says, if I would have known, how what this really meant, I wouldn't have done it. Is that basically his plea?
Yeah, that's usually the standard way of nullifying a person's vow, right? So if that was done on the regular, if he did that on the festival, so now he's free from his vow of not taking haircuts. So now he's permitted. He's one of these 4 or 5 people that's permitted to take a haircut.
Well, what's the reference to coming from overseas?
There's no barber on the ship.
Right.
They don't have barbershops on the ship, so.
Or if it's high seas, you don't want to take a haircut while you're swaying in the in the breeze over there.
In other words, he arrived right before the holiday, and he didn't have a chance to get a haircut before the holiday. Is that the scenario?
Right. Or
he arrived on the holiday, no?
Right, he could have arrived not on Yom Tov, but on the Chol Hamoed. He arrived on Yom Tov as well, or on Chol Hamoed as well.
If he arrived on the holiday, he has to stay on the ship. Is that what Rebbe's saying?
That's a whole complicated shaila there. If the boat docks if he's on a on a on a ship and the ship happens to dock on Yom Tov or on Shabbos, so he's not really permitted to leave the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So all these cases are not very common, but this last case about arriving from overseas, it is somewhat common, as people may arrive from Hutzloratz or from if they're maybe traveling from England to America or from America to England, people may be taking Erev Yom Tov flights or Chol Hamoed flights, and so that's the thing. If he was in a situation that he could have taken a haircut on Erev Yom Tov, for example, let's say he had a stopover. He left. Let's say he left New York on Thursday evening or Thursday afternoon, and arrives, let's say, in England for a stopover, a 3-hour stopover in England, in London, and then to fly to Eretz Israel on Erev Yom Tov. So it could be that he's arriving too late on Erev Yom Tov to take the haircut in Eretz Israel. But since he had a stopover in England, he could have possibly found a barber there in the airport, and gotten himself a haircut there in the airport beforehand. So they're actually questions and answers, shayas and shuvas, which are asked in the poskim if people are in such situations about traveling.
But over here, this Haba Medinas Hayam, that's referring in general to a person who was traveling for maybe a month or more.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, boat trips were long ordeals at that time.
Right, talking about either on a boat or a caravan. Also, there's probably not much opportunity to take a haircut on a camel's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just want to tell you a fast story. I had a friend who was a Holocaust survivor, and he with all the running around in England and Canada and whatever he was doing, he finally arrived in America after this dangerous trip with the German submarines and the whole business. And the ship arrived in America on Shabbos.
Right.
And he didn't want to get off the ship. And they told him, listen, we're pulling away in 2 hours. So you better get off the ship or else you're going to go to Brazil.
Oh, wow.
So he got off the ship.
Right.
He told me personally the story.
Yeah, it was.
He had to get off the ship. What could he do? I mean, he wasn't going to go after,
Right. If you're familiar with the Sefer Shmer Shabbos Kilchasa, it's a very basic and well-known Sefer on Shmer Shabbos, on the laws of Shabbos. It's been translated into English as well. If I'm not mistaken, the reason why the Sefer came to be written was because a very similar situation that the author, I think, was forced to leave the ship on Shabbos.
Mm-hmm.
He made up his mind as a tshuva, as a rectification of that. He would concentrate his life on learning the laws of Shabbos. So he became an expert in the laws of Shabbos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these things happen. Okay, so Obama give me the siyam. Sheba be'erev regel. Here's another case, right? So the first case is he came from Medinas Hayam on Chol Hamoed, right? And as you said, it wasn't probably regularly available to take haircuts while you're in transit, right? Again, the boats that they had in those days weren't big boats like we have today. Like, now your normal ocean liner probably does have a barber shop there. I know they have a beauty parlor, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And so then that's the first case that he arrived on Chol Hamoed, or Shabbat Erev Regel. He came on Erev Yom Tov.
Erev Yom Tov. Lo hayesh shehut bayom legaleach.
Right, he didn't have time. There was no time on Erev Yom Tov to take a haircut. Maybe the barbershop was already closed. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's mamish Erev. Yeah. Erev Haregel, meaning like that afternoon or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Okay. V'hu shelo yotze me'eretz Yisrael l'chutza le'eretz l'tayel. What is it? And he's not going out from Eretz Israel.
Right. This is a condition, meaning when we're talking about this, we're not talking about a person who simply leaves Eretz Israel to just take a tourist trip in Chutz La'aretz. That's not enough.
Yeah.
It has to be going for a specific reason, which is permissible, like business or for a shidduch or something like that, or to learn Torah, or perhaps he's coming to Eretz Israel.
So this would include. I mean, it wasn't specifically listed, but if he's on a caravan going from Eretz Israel to India or whatever, so he falls in that same category.
Right. Let's say he gets to they get to Bombay in the middle of Holomoid Pesach.
Right.
So he's traveling his spice routes.
Is this a lechatchila or only bidi evid? In other words, is one obligated to plan his trip so that this doesn't happen, and then only if it doesn't work out properly do this, or can he plan his trip so he's gonna arrive this way?
So obviously, if he can plan the trip that it shouldn't happen this way, he should do that. But again, in when you're dealing with boat travel or caravans, so then there were many times the delays and things like that. So even if we would plan it, it may not always work out that way.
Right. So it's bidi evid.
Right. To try and plan it that shouldn't happen this way.
What is this word litayel?
Tayel is a pleasure trip.
Ah.
One minute. Let me just check on something here.
That's what they call when the kids go on trips. They call it a tayul.
Right. Exactly.
The school trips are called tayul.
Good. Okay. Let's go back and see the Mishna Berura, starting with Sifkat and Zion.
Zion, right? V'lo hoya lo penei. And he doesn't have.
Didn't have the opportunity to take the haircut.
Okay. Kagon, for example, sheyotza betoich hamoed, o afilu be'erev yom tov, samuch l'chashicha.
Right. Remember, in this case, we're now talking about the case where he was let out of captivity or let out of jail. So they let him out on Cholamoid, or they let him out on Erev Yom Tov.
Right. Shelo hoya lo shechut l'galeach mibe'od yom. So he didn't have the opportunity.
Right. There's no time left on Erev Yom Tov to take the haircut then.
Right.
What's shahut?
Time. Didn't have the time.
Is that related to sha'ah? Like when we say masha'ah, what time is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the shorish.
That's right. Exactly.
What do we have? Zion. Ches?
Right.
Okay. Umi sheyotza mebeis Hausurim. So this is the one who goes out from the jail,
Right.
right? He's not a captive. The government put him in jail, his own government, let's say.
Apparently.
Yeah. Hachenami, kishelo hoya shechut legaleach be'erev Yom Tov mibaod yom.
Right. And you also in this case, it's talking about when they let him out of jail, and like for example, on Erev Yom Tov, there was no more time to take a
Yeah.
Therefore, since and the common denominator with all these exceptions to the rule that you really are prohibited to take a haircut is in these cases it's usually known that the person had no time to take the haircut. Meaning he was known to be in jail. He was known to be coming from Chutz La'aretz. So it's known that these people had a very good excuse why they didn't take a haircut.
Right. But if someone went to the Rebbe and said, I was so busy, I just forgot to get a haircut. Now it's Chol Hamoed and I look terrible. Can I get a haircut? So that they're probably going to tell him no.
No, exactly. That because there it's not known. There's no good excuse why people could say, because they'll see this guy showing up in shul 2 days. He's coming in with this hair on his head. Now he comes in clean shaven. What's going on with you, Charlie?
Right. Well, is there a halacha about the length of hair that a man is supposed to have? In other words, when does it determine that he needs a haircut?
There's no real specific length which is discussed. You see two specific cases where this type of thing is mentioned. One is by an avel, the person who Olenu is sitting mourning for a close relative, especially the parents. So they're not supposed to take a haircut until people start shouting at him and say, "Look, your hair is getting too wild." And he's not really supposed to take a haircut unless people come and make a special comment to him. If his hair is getting too wild for public consumption over here. That's one thing. And the other case where the Mishna Berura mentions is in terms of wearing tefillin, that people have these. Sometimes you see these styles where they have a big troop, they have a big patch of hair on by the top of the forehead there, and that interferes with the wearing of the tefillin. And the third case, so then that's too much. That's too long for the tefillin. The other case which is mentioned is a Kohen Gadol. If I'm not mistaken, a Kohen Gadol and a king, they both had very specific. I think the Kohen Gadol got a haircut every day. There was a very special way to do the haircut for the Kohen Gadol. They would have a haircut, I think, every day, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, so they must have had some way to measure, because it was, if he got a haircut, they were only taking off a minute amount.
Right. It was a very, very special
some kind of tool.
Yeah, very special expertise.
Should I do Biyad Yisrael?
No. So here in that case, he was in jail. He was held in jail by Jews.
Biyad, you're right. The Kevon Shahaya B'Tza'ar Lo Giliach. So he was in a situation where he couldn't get a haircut.
Right. He was distressed to the extent that he wasn't able to take a haircut.
So this by Jews, this is not halacha. This is not by a beis din. We don't have jail, correct?
Yeah, right. That's true.
So this would be.
Sorry, what does that mean? When we don't have
a Jewish. It would just be like the government of Israel now, a Jewish government that's not religious.
Apparently,
But
something
you,
like that.
you're saying that in an Orthodox from government, you can't have a jail?
Well, the Torah doesn't call for anything like jail. There's only one instance where a person was put in jail, the Metalel, when he cursed. So Moshe Rabbeinu had to inquire of HaKadosh Baruch Hu exactly what he knew he was Chayav Misa, but he didn't know which Chayav Misa he was supposed to get. So he put him in
Confinement.
confinement. He was
Yeah.
put in confinement until Moshe Rabbeinu came back with the answer from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But usually you don't find that putting a person in confinement is a Torah way of
So
punishment.
in the, I don't know, in the Midbar or in Eretz Israel, during the days of the base of Migdash, so it was mostly financial punishment. But also Makos, I guess.
Yeah, right. There's penalties of penalties and fines. Then you have lashes, makos, and then you have mises pasted, right?
In slavery.
Slavery, yeah, for your neighbor, right? Slavery. And your miklat was that's some type of that's a type of confinement to a certain extent. Your miklat, not exactly.
Yeah, well, that's more like you're running away from the Gol Adam, right? You're not
Right.
sentenced there, right? It's a voluntary thing.
Well, if he steps out of the year miklat, he's doomed. If the Goladam finds him, so it's
Right.
not advisable.
But he's free if he says, "Listen, I don't care. I'm going home." So if he can go home if he wants, and risk getting revenge killed, a revenge killing.
Apparently, whether it's a mitzvah to remain there, I mean, they're supposed to remain until the death of the Kohen Gadol. Whether it's a mitzvah, let's say there is no Goladam, let's say there is no Goladam, or the Goladam is away or something like that. The Goladam, you hear he's Goladam, went to Honolulu for a couple of weeks. So does that mean he can now go out safe and sound? I'm not sure.
Oh. Do we actually know where these cities were? Do the archaeologists know where they were in Eretz Israel? Can we find them today?
Apparently, they should. I mean, those if there's such information exists, I mean, they were known localities, so it should be a way of people who have access to the ancient documents, and they should be able to locate them, I would imagine.
Right. Yud?
Yeah, I think we can do another one or two.
One more? Okay.
Another
Shehetiru lo beregel. So it's permitted to him on the regel.
Right.
Well, shouldn't that be chalamoid, not the regel itself?
Really, that's reference to that's meaning regal is not meaning not Yom Tov, but the regal meaning is cholamoid, right? Definitely.
Okay.
Yom Tov.
Oh, regal means cholamoid. Okay.
Right.
Shemikodem shahaya aser betiglachat. Ulechein.
What's betiglachat?
Tiglan is to take a haircut.
Legalach. Yeah.
Right.
Ulechein have anus b'ameh shelo gilach mikodem yesh cholkin bazeh.
Right. I mean, he was prevented because he wasn't able to take the haircut before. And there are those that argue about this. I mean, it's not so simple. You'll see in a moment. There are those that argue about this point.
They argue about the fact that he was not able.
Right. In a certain scenario, Israel they hold
They're arguing whether he can do it, the regal.
Right. In this particular case, it's going to be described in a moment.
Usevira lahu dehechi shehaya yochol levakesh ulefayes shetiru lo koidem haregel below pies. What is that? What is pies? Below pies.
PAs means to satisfy them. He could have maybe bribed his way out. Meaning, if it was possible, he could have bribed his way out.
Hooray, Poshia. Oh, he's Poshia. Oh, okay. If he had some kind of way to get it done, then he's Poshia. But also legaleach the regal. Oh, so then he can't do it.
Right.
What is ulefayes? Ulefayim.
The fayes is to somehow
To accomplish it?
no, it means that he's able to somehow deal with the authorities in a way that they would allow him to leave, whether it means bribing them or asking for their mercy or something, writing a letter to get a pardon or something like that. If he could have written a letter and gotten a pardon, right? So he would Matthias Escobedo, he would set things right with the authorities that they would allow him to leave if he had a chance to do that before the regal, but he didn't. So then these opinions say he's not able to take the haircut on the regal.
So what if a person is fined and he can't pay the fine? So what do they do if there's no jails? It would seem that if he can't pay the fine, they say, okay, well, you got to stay locked up.
Yeah, well, that's what they used to have debtors' prisons. They just
yeah. But here in this particular case, when it says low PAs, it means he had an opportunity, but he didn't pull it off.
Right.
So then he can't get the haircut.
Correct.
Or the shave, I guess. Right. The galech refers to both. Galeach refers both to the hair, the head, and the beard.
It depends on the context. In general, galeach means like basically shaving, but it also can refer to haircuts as well.
Right.
I guess maybe we'll probably have to stop here. We're going. So okay. So that's just a little bit of a glimpse of some of the laws of Chol HaMoed here. And as I say, we'll start the second volume of the Mishna Berura tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
All right, so this Vub goes back on the shelf for a while.
Right. Yeah. Until we get ready for Hanukkah. We'll be getting ready for Hanukkah in I don't know, 5-6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
You have a
Thank you, Rabbi.
Food until
right,
then.
so we're good.
Nice seeing you again, Barry.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Good to see you back here. Very, very happy. And
good.
Do we know when Lauren's supposed to be coming back sooner or later? Or what do you say? When is Lauren supposed to come back?
Is he away?
Don't remember. Yeah, he's in America.
Yeah. When he's coming back, I have to write him an email.
I'm interested to see what the obstacle course is to fly back and forth and all that business. And
it's very difficult right now. He might not be able to. You've got to be a first-degree relative, is my understanding. To come to Israel from America.
I think he's a citizen, so they may have to let him in, I think.
Yeah, I think he made Aliyah now, so I think he qualifies.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't know what the law is in that case.
But it's still not, so I know someone who was refused entrance to a plane, and I don't know, he had met all the apparent criteria.
Yeah.
Still refused him on the spot for some reason.
Wow.
And so
Right.
it's very risky. I wouldn't recommend traveling to anybody under these circumstances.
Yeah,
They-
that's
if they change the laws. They might say you have to have 25 vaccinations before you come back to the country or something like that.
yeah, yeah. I have a ticket that the travel agent is holding for me. That
Wow.
I canceled it. I mean, I delayed it. I didn't
Right.
cancel the ticket. I delayed the ticket, and it's she's holding it for me, but I'm
All right,
afraid to
have a
fly.
good day. I gotta go.